Hi, this is Ken 1171, and in this video I want to show you a new script I have created to control, pose, and create, save, and retrieve facial expressions, and also to reshape the figure all in one script, and it's dedicated to LaFemme 2, the new figure for poser. So let's launch the script. It's called RigControl, and this is what it looks like. It was originally designed only to control the facial rig on her face. For example, if you select the figure body, you'll see that this is where you reveal the 3 sets of control chips she has on the face. The first one here is called expression controls, and the second one is called the expression chips. The first one is made of remote control dials, or ERCs, which means enhanced remote controls. These are represented in the interface with blue dots. Blue dots are remote controls, while if I hide this and show the second set, all these other controls here control bones directly. Those are the red dots on the interface. So red dots are dials that control bones directly, and the blue dots are ERCs, or in other words, they are remote control points that represent dials that control other dials. You don't have to show the chips on the face to use them. You can just click and drag on the controls, and they do exactly what it says. If you look here at the bottom, there is a black bar. When you hover the mouse over the control points, it shows their name over there, so you know exactly what you are controlling based on the position on the face, or in other cases on the body, and the dial name here at the bottom. Those will be exactly as the dial names you're going to find on the figure, except that you don't have to search for them all over the figure. You can get everything in one place. For every one of these control points here, if you right click on them, you reset them back to default. For example, if I bring this dial up here, the control left lip, if I right click it, I reset it back to default. That's one thing you cannot do with dials unless you go directly to the dials and do this manually. Here you have all of these controls here that you can manipulate, and if you want to at any time to bring them back to default, you just right click the specific control point you want to reset. In addition to all the control points in one place, you also have filtering and symmetry. Symmetry is one of the most useful things. Let's activate it here, and now let's control the eyes. Take a look. I now can control both eyes at the same time. If I disable symmetry and go back to the eyes, it only moves one. Same thing for any other dial, the cheek here or the lip. It only controls the specific side you're controlling, but if you activate symmetry, you can now move both sides at the same time. Each one of these pages, you'll see there are 5 of them here at the bottom. Each one of them has a reset option that resets all the control points from this tab alone. You won't reset anything else, but just the controls you have on this page. So if I click that, you see that it brings the face back to default. If you go to body here, you see that it has its own reset. So if, for example, I get one of these ERCs here, for example, let me go back to full body. This one here controls arms up and down. And if I pose the figure with, I have symmetry enabled here. If I click the reset button, it resets only these controls that are on this page, and so on. So the green resets everything from the current page, and the individual control points, when you right click them, it resets only them, like I just did with the eyes here. You'll notice that sometimes the control moves really fast. It's hard to put it on a position you want exactly. For this purpose, I have added 3 modifier keys for each control dot, which are Shift, Control, and Alt keys. So if I reset this and hold the Shift key and now drag the control, I now have double precision. you'll see that it moves much slower, which gives me much more control. And if that's not enough, I can hold the control key. If I move it now, it has quadruple the precision, which means I have 4 times more precision when I move the mouse to control this, to put it to a precise position. And if even that is not good enough, let's go to the corner here. You'll see that it moves really fast. I can barely control anything. So if I reset this and hold the Alt key, which is the last modifier key, you'll see that it goes really slow. So I have very fine control over the mouse movement to control this dial. So these are the 3 control modifiers: Shift, Control, and Alt, to give you more control over the mouse motion. Okay, let's open her mouth. You'll see that I have added additional controls here for the inner mouth. For example, the teeth. I have full control over the teeth, upper and lower independently, and the tongue as well. If I raise the tongue here, I can curl the tip of the tongue over here, so you can see I can move any part of the tongue up and down and so on. So you don't have chips for this on the figure, so that's one more thing that this script can control, that you would have to hunt for dials on the figure if you want to do this. Let's reset the face and move to the body. Now here you have full control over all parts of the figure. For example, let's say I want to use symmetry. I'm going to filter out the side, so I can only do up, down now. And I'm going to make her sitting pose with symmetry, which means saving half the work by controlling both sides at the same time. And now the shins, like this. And now I'm going to lower the legs a little bit. There you go. Now I have a sitting pose. I can lower the arms like this, maybe give a little side. Oh yeah, I have to enable back the side here, a little side on here and there. You can adjust the pose a little bit, raise one arm like this, and let's say I want to make a hand pose for this. I switch to the hand tab, and here I have full control over all the ERCs and bone controls in one place. If I want to make a victory sign with this, I have to curl pinky, and then take a look here, I'm using blue dots, and here the second one, I have symmetry enabled, so I'm posing both hands at the same time. And then I'm going to straighten the other 2 fingers and use this bone here to move to the side, and I have a full, maybe move the wrist to the side like this, and I have posed both hands at the same time. And let's say I want to make a high heels pose on the feet, so I'm switching to the feet with symmetry activated, and I'm going to disable side. So let's make the high heels pose using the metatarsals here. This bone in the middle here, which you don't have chips for, you would have to go hunt for dials on the figure if you want to access it, and then the toes. And there you have a basic high heels pose. Mind you, we also have complete control over each individual toes. For example, I want to curl the big toe. I can. I'm doing this with symmetry here, so it affects both sides at the same time. Let me reset this by right-clicking the dials I have changed. And this is how you can make full body poses using the control points. And let's say I want to go one step further here, and I want her to cross her legs, so I have to bring one foot more to the center like this. I will need IK here, so let me get my other script, the IK manager. I will need to lock the right leg only, which is this one here. Now if I switch to the translate tool and pull this leg over the other, I can make her cross her legs, maybe look from the side and adjust the pose from there. Good. Switch back to rotation, adjust the other thigh more to the side, and boom, now I can disable IK. I don't need this anymore. I can reset this foot and go here, deactivate symmetry, and pose the other foot. And there you go. We now have a sitting pose with legs crossed, hand poses. Now let's do a facial expression using the control points. So let's bring a smile. I'm going to use, I have to use both sides. Let's enable symmetry, back, enable side. Now I'm going to make a smile, maybe not so much. Bring it down a notch. I'm going to drag the lower teeth so that they don't show on this pose. Gonna do some lower eyelid and raise the brows a little bit. No, maybe not so much, like this. And there you have it. And say I want to save this expression. I have facial presets just for this here, and it does a number of things. Let's first of all show you here that I already have a smile here saved. I'm gonna save another one on a vacant dot here, and if once it's saved, it creates a thumbnail auto frame. You'll see that I didn't frame it manually. The program did it by itself by using this option here called the auto framing. Whenever this option is enabled, and it is enabled by default, the camera would auto frame the face for you, so you have nice presets with thumbnails, as you can see here. Whenever I hover the mouse over the dots, it shows you the preset here at the bottom. In addition to that, I also have captions. For example, the first one here says smile. I'm going to right click the second dot. I can add a smile 2 here, and if I go back to the face tab and reset the face, I'm going to remove the expression and I apply the first smile. You'll see two things. First, it doesn't affect the pose. You can set any kind of pose you want and apply. I'm going to apply the smile 2 now. You'll see that the expressions are saved without affecting the body poses. They are completely independent, which is a great thing. You can apply expressions you saved here without affecting the pose. However, there are cases where you may want to include, for example, the head rotation. In some expressions, they may be important. You have an option here that is disabled by default, which is include head rotations. So if I enable this and say that smile again, you'll see that this time, if I zero the neck or the head here, if I zero, I remove the rotation, and if I apply the second smile, you'll see that it does not affect the head. But if I use the third one, which I saved with head rotations, you'll see that now the head rotation that was in the pose is now included in this preset. So you have those two options. This is disabled by default. And one more thing that's important to know from this is that you have here a second option, which is reset head before loading a preset. This works like this. If I reset the face by clicking the global reset for the face here, and I save a preset like this with no expression, I'm gonna call this default face. If I hover the mouse there, you'll see the thumbnail in the bottom here and the caption that I just added, default face. Whenever I load this preset, it actually saved an empty preset because these dots here only save the dots at the control points you have changed and nothing else. So if from this point, I'm going to disable this here and apply the smile with a head rotation. I want you to pay attention to what happens if I apply the default face but without reset head before applying preset. I'm gonna click this now. Take a look what happens. Nothing happens because there was nothing changed on the face when I saved this preset, which means I have saved an empty preset. However, if I enable this option to reset the head before applying any of these presets and I click on that now, take a look what happens. Now it removes the expression, which in practical terms creates a neutral expressions you can reset back to if you say a blank face, but only if this option is enabled. If I disable this now and apply the first smile, it's going to load the first smile, and without resetting the head, I'm going to apply the second smile on top of it. What it's going to do is it's going to combine the effect of both expressions, one on top of the other, instead of replacing it. So it has its place if you want to use it. How useful this will be to you will depend on if you want to create partial expressions that you can combine in any order. That would be one way to do it. Okay, so until now we have been doing only posing and expressions. I have reset the figure back to default because now we're gonna see the last part of this video demonstration, which is the scale mode, which is this one here. So far we have never used it, but let me dock this to the poser interface here. And now with scale, we are not doing any posing now. Now we're gonna use body scaling, which is something that figures like LaFemme and LaFemme 2 can do very well. For example, let's make the waist narrower, the abdomen too. Let's make the thighs thicker and the legs longer, like this. And then let's make the breasts larger, horizontal and vertically. And I have to use, that's one thing I didn't show yet. You see that with the mouse I can only do left and right and up and down. In this case it was scaling the breasts on the horizontal and vertical axis, but what about the z-axis? The mouse can only move in two directions. For that I have created the middle button action, which if I move the middle button here, you see it has access to the other axis I didn't have access before. So if you need access to the third dimension that you didn't have before access to, that's how you do it. You use the middle button instead of the left button. Okay, so let's say I want to make the hips a little wider and the neck a little narrower, the head bigger vertically and horizontally. You'll notice that I'll have to do this on the z-axis as well, so I use the middle button for that. Same thing here. Let's say I want to make the waist narrower. I use the middle button, and the hips wider. So for that I use the middle button as well. If I want to make, for example, I want to scale the feet, I have to switch to the feet. And now when I drag on this control, I'm not posing, I'm scaling instead. And there you go, I have scaled the feet really large. And finally the hands. I want to make the hands larger, thicker and longer. I have to use the middle button here. And this is an example where you can completely reshape the body to create a stylized body like I did here. You have control to the buttocks as well here. With this I can make it bigger and use the middle button for the z-axis, a normal button for vertical. So here I have shown you how I can very quickly, using symmetry, body scale the entire figure into a stylized shape using a completely different mode, which is the scale mode, which instead of posing, it rescales the body, usually referred to as body scaling. I can also here make the torso shorter, and here on the abdomen too. So you can see you can completely reshape of the figure using body scaling using scale mode, which is greatly enhanced with symmetry, because then you can do both sides at the same time, which saves a lot of time. Let's make the neck longer. You get the idea what this does. Oh, I can also do this to the face. Over here, let's switch to the face. I want to make the ears bigger and the nose narrower, and let's say the eyes bigger. And there you have it. Now I rescale the whole thing. And if I go back to my face presets and apply, for example, the smile, you'll see that the expression do not affect neither the poses or body scaling. So I can apply this independent without modifying the scaling or posing. And that's what I wanted to show you. As usual, you have the question mark here, which opens the PDF manual, so you can get more details at any time. And that's what I wanted to show you. Thanks for watching.